Good evening, everyone. Gentlemen, the minutes,
Motion to approve. Second the motion.
all in favor? Aye. Department heads or committees? Let's see, I guess we have a committee of 3 sitting here. Might just as well go right to it. Ms. Riley?
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and I'm here with Dr. Susan Prewandowski, who's the new chairman of our Budget Subcommittee, and also our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jacqueline Forbes. And the reason we're here, we want to bring to your attention that we're always on the lookout to save our district and our community's funds whenever possible. So several months ago, it came to Dr. Forbes' attention that the Massachusetts School Building Authority had an accelerated repair program that might make some grant funds available to the communities of Bridgewater and Raynham for some repair projects that have been identified on our capital improvement plan. So I am going to let Dr. Forbes give you all of the details since she's been working on this, if I might. Dr. Forbes.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for giving me the privilege of presenting this evening. I appreciate that so much. What I'd like to do is very quickly remind everyone of our 10-year capital plan. And I brought copies of this for you. And I hope I have enough. I'm not sure. If you turn to page 1, you will see that quite a while ago we identified that the roofs at Merrill and La Liberté Elementary School needed to be fixed. And if you look at that, you'll see there are a lot of other projects on that. If you, the first school listed is Merrill Elementary at the top, and you'll see the roof replacement. This would be the entire roof. It was originally built in 1957, and it was slated in this plan to be repaired in 2013. And that is because it is the only project on that list that the MSBA would give us 55.63% reimbursement on. So that was accepted by the MSBA into the, invited into the accelerated repair program. Also, if you'll go down to the next school, you'll see the La Liberté Elementary School. We need to replace roof areas that were not completed during the renovation, and you'll see again roofing and the amount, the estimated amount we thought, and these are old numbers now, was at about $200,000, and again the timeline on that was 2013. So we didn't just make this up. This has been a part of our capital improvement plan. We changed the dates because these were the only 2 projects that would be allowable under the reimbursement plan. So what we did was in January, we submitted a statement of interest, and that was to the MSBA, and we had talked to Randy about that to make sure that he knew what we were up to. And then we also met with Randy and his counterpart in Bridgewater for their approval to move forward with the statement of interest. The school committee approved it, and so we did. On April 9th, we were notified by the MSBA that their board of directors took a vote to invite us into the program. Now, that's not approval yet. We won't get that until next January 2013. But the skinny on that is, if you get invited in, you usually get approved. And the person we're working with hasn't said that we would not get approval. The only thing is we have to follow their timelines. And that's why we're here this evening, because if we did not request of you a special town meeting, we would not be able to meet the deadlines of the project. So in that letter, and I'm going to give you copies of the letter, from April 9th. This outlines the timelines. And I believe Mr. Buckton, you have one, so I'll. And that says that we need to get approval for funding for just part of the project, which is the feasibility and design portion. Now, if you go past that letter, and that's really for your reference, if you go to the two documents after the letter, you will see the detailed financial plan. And the financial plan, this is what we need to have approved in order to go forward. For the Merrill Elementary School, the total square footage of that roof that needs to be replaced is 43,240 square feet. The cost for the feasibility study is approximately $5,000. And if you go down to the schematic design, $15,000. Now, we didn't just pull that number out of our hats, Kathy Macedo, the business manager, and I. We talked with Kevin Sullivan at MSBA, and Randy, I believe you called and spoke with him also. So we've shared all of our information, and we're figuring, with looking at the samples he had given us and talking with him, that $20,000 for the Merrill and $20,000 for the La Liberté Elementary School, because the square footage is not much different for the roof, that it would be $20,000 per building for a total of $40,000 that we would need to have appropriated by the town of Raynham in order to move forward with this. And I apologize for such a short timeline. So Randy, if you want me to stop looking for any bargains out there, let me know, because I don't want to cause upset. But I thought that this was really important, because we'll be able to save about half of what it would cost, and it needs to be done. The only issue is the timeline, and I also don't have a total cost for the total project. But we won't get that until MSBA helps us negotiate a contract for the OPM, which is the owner's project manager, who then helps us negotiate a contract with the architect. They come in and do their study, and then they will send the information to the MSBA Board of Directors. They will then take a vote to approve the project, and it is at that time that we will then find out what it's going to cost. Now, in our capital improvement plan, these are good guesstimates that Mr. Baroncelli and Kathy Macedo and I have put together, but these numbers are a little old. So we're looking at about $350,000. I don't know what the MSBA is going to come back with. My hope is that because they have the state bid list and they know who's good, who's cheap, they'll be able to get us low bids, so it won't be extravagant. So that's my hope with this project. Once we get that approval in January from the Board of Directors, they will notify us of the cost, total cost, and then funding would need to be appropriated for the total amount 90 days after that approval. So that would take us, if we're at the end of January, we'd have February, March, and April. Now, I know your town meeting is usually in May, so that might present another issue. But when we started this process, they said that they would be flexible with the time of the warrant process or the approval process, and now I'm finding they're tightening it up on us a little bit. My fear is that if we're not able to meet the timelines, we'll lose this opportunity. And then construction has to be completed by September 2013. So I'm bringing this to your attention, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Dr. Forbes. I don't mind going forward with the initial $40,000, but I have an important question. Because this letter quite blatantly states this is not an approval because it's bold and italicized. If we do not get the final approval, and I have every confidence we will with your assistance, but if we do not, is there any commitment on the town's behalf to move forward? Because quite frankly, it's a big difference spending 175 compared to 350 all at once. This board and the town meeting have already committed a large sum of money to pay off the fire truck. 175 and 350 is a significant difference, and I would not feel comfortable at this time committing to 350 if we're going to be held to that amount and SBA doesn't come through.
If the
So
if
I'm saying
MSBA doesn't come through,
is there any obligation to us that we have to go forward with these projects on any end?
not if they don't approve it.
Okay, well that's all right.
Yes, if they don't approve it, they can't tell us what we're going to do. If they approve it, then they will be in charge of that timeline.
Yeah. No, and that's fine. If we get the approval, that's one thing. I just don't want there to be any confusion as to where I sit. I have no comfort level approving $350,000 at this time because, quite frankly, we can't afford it. 175, when at some point it's going to be done, is a great bargain, and I applaud you, as I always have, for your efforts in pursuing different ways to save the taxpayers' money. But I just wanted to be, perfectly clear as to my hesitation if there was going to be any type of clause in there that says absent SBA's approval, you would still have to proceed with the project for whatever reason. Because sometimes they tend to toss in these funky little clauses. So I want to make sure that the town of Raynham is absolutely unequivocally protected, and there will be no way that we'd be forced to have to pursue the full 350 from the taxpayers at this time.
I'm taking notes on that because I will call Kevin Sullivan, our contact, and I would also ask Randy too, so that we can make sure that on either side, to protect the town and the school district, that, if they don't give us the approval, I don't want anything in here that obligates us, because typically we would split it out over time. And this way, it's upfront and then reimbursement. So, and if we got the approval, then we would have to sit down and figure out what it looks like. There's a limit of us only being able to ask for $50,000 reimbursement in chunks. So we would have to come up with a timeline to make sure that the town gets reimbursed, as quickly as possible. So I will be happy to check on that to make sure, and please know that we would not move forward. I will get word back to you if there is something that says we have to do it anyway.
Outside of that, I have no concerns, and I again appreciate you and my favorite Dr. Prewandowski and Chairwoman Riley pursuing these routes for us.
Ultimately, we are going to have a special town meeting.
Yes.
Even for the $40,000.
Which is
So-
reimbursable, by the way,
The 40,000 is always also reimbursable along with everything else.
Yes.
I would motion to
But
that,
the-
and then you can navigate with our town administrator as to how to proceed for August.
Then I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll be happy to work with Randy on this to move forward. While I have the podium, may I share some good news with the board?
As long as it's good.
It is very good. We are very busy this summer, and I just wanted to share with you that busyness includes putting in 3 new computer labs at the Raynham Middle School, in addition to the Library Media Center. All new computers and monitors and furniture. We are creating multiple labs so that our teachers will have greater access to taking the students to the computer lab to do that. In addition, we are refurbishing the teacher computers in the classrooms, and our goal is to create what we call 21st century classrooms. And what I mean by that is in all of the classrooms, and I can't promise this will all be completed by September 1st, but it's our goal to get it done as quickly as possible. We will have projection systems in every classroom. And we will also have digital interactive whiteboards. Some of them, they used to call them smart boards. Well, we will now be, we've broadened it because there are additional types of whiteboards that are interactive that we use for different grade levels and different ages of students. At the elementary level, and we'll be putting these in Merrill and La Liberté also, you want to have whiteboards that do not cast, and projectors that don't cast shadows. So the little first grader can go up and touch something on the board, on the whiteboard, that will then trigger with the computer, the digital textbook, or whatever it is that they're working with. So we're really excited about that. We will have document cameras in all of the teams at the middle school and in the elementary schools. And what those are, they're wonderful. Remember the old opaque projectors where you could put a book under there and it could put it on the wall? Well, it's similar to that. So we have this tiny little thing, no bigger than a mic, that will take pictures of the students' work, their writing or whatever it is. They can put it on the whiteboard and they can edit, they can proofread, they can move, if they're doing a math assignment, they can move models around, they can look at fractions. So we wanted to make sure we had that. We had those types of technology tools in our classrooms. One of the biggest concerns I hear when people decide to take their children out of the district and put them in parochial schools, private schools, or in other public schools is that BR doesn't have the type of technology that other districts do. Well, that is not going to be true much longer, because that is a goal, and I have to thank the school committee for believing in us, giving us the funds to do that, and we will be sharing more information about our technology capital improvement plan with the community. But it's really important that you know that, and that we are doing everything we can to get a top-notch technology plan. It's already been approved by the school committee. Now we need to share that. So if you watch the show BR Connections, you will get a lot more information about what's going on, and we're very, very pleased with that. And one final thing, we are also making sure that our flagship school, the high school, is going to have, it has most everything in the classrooms, but we are going to make sure that every classroom is well equipped. And I wanted to share with you a new addition to the curriculum. And this has been approved by the school committee. We are going to have a computer game design elective course. And that is to integrate digital gaming into the learning process. And another way to think of it is we're going to take a computer lab and we're going to turn it into a mini software company. Why? Why would we do that? Why would we let kids play games in school? Well, it's not because Dr. Forbes is crazy, but it's because it will really stretch our kids' critical thinking abilities. They're going to have to do group projects. They have to collaborate. It's going to involve graphic artistry, concept design, communication, proposal writing, storyboarding, entrepreneurship skills, and it's all a part of what we know is good hands-on project-based learning. And our kids are signing up for that course like crazy. It is wonderful. This is one of the leading edge areas of education that we're seeing across the country. And I'm really pleased that the committee in its wisdom allowed us to have that at the high school. So I'm hoping our student population think twice about what BR can offer, because we are cutting edge on that. So thank you.
Tell me you didn't hire your neighbor Kurt Schilling to be the teacher.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
God help us.
Nope. Our business chair of the department's going to be doing the instruction. That is true, but absolutely not. He's no friend or neighbor of mine. So, but this is really cutting edge in terms of where we need to go. You put a computer, you put a project like that in front of our students, and you will have engaged students, and that's what we want at our high school. So I'm really pleased to be able to share that with you. And I want to ensure you that the monies that you grant us, that you provide to the school department, are well used, and we will keep an eye on that. And if I hear of any kind of fraud or anything that's not right, Mr. Pacheco, you know I will be all over that.
That's you and Dr. Prewandowski.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in and sharing all that with us. It's a great undertaking. Great undertaking.
And I can't wait to have photos, pictures of that, and to have open houses, so your constituents can walk through the building and see what a wonderful job we're doing, because this is a district that I want to be on the forefront of digital technology instruction, so thank you.
Just a moment.
To your last point, you know, because of all the good work you're doing, and because the digital computer age is so critical to our competitive position with regard to other communities, other districts, as you've indicated, I think it would be well if there were a plan in place to communicate all of this besides just the open house. I think you've got a lot to talk about, and I think if some of that effort were put into structuring a communication, PR, however you wanted to phrase it, you've got a lot to talk about. Let's not keep our, you know, let's take our light from out under the tree. I think you want to do more to communicate that. And the 3 labs that you talked about, how many computer stations are in those 3 labs?
We usually have about 25.
So there's a total of about 75 stations in those 3?
Yes,
That's
if
fabulous.
not more. I have to double check. I've got 3 people working night and day putting them in,
Yeah.
and we've got to let the dust settle, see where we are. Then I have to get permission from the chair, because I'd like to have a ribbon cutting ceremony and invite the community in, invite the Board of Selectmen in, so that people can really see that we are moving forward.
Great.
And we mean business.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Randy, just notify us about the details of the town meeting, and we'll get the phones going and see if we can recruit the number of people needed for the quorum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, let's see. Don't need this. Lions Club.
Those of you who don't know me, my name is Frank Gendro. I used to be on the school board, 83 to 89, and retired professor of medical ethics from Stonehill College. I'm currently president of the Lions Club, and one of the projects that I set for our club for this year was to build a pavilion, an open-aired pavilion. I approached one of our members, who's a general contractor. We met with Dennis Machado and just reviewed some general information about the pavilion. Dennis looked at the plans that we submitted, and he said, "This looks good. Obviously, we have a lot of work ahead of us." We met with, or I sent a letter to the Park and Recreation Commission. They indicated they were sending you a letter indicating their approval of the project, as long as it was not on APR land. They made that very clear. And I submitted some documents to Randy today. I don't know if you have copies of those. The one that I'd like to point to start is the one that shows the Lions building at 2234 King Philip Street. You'll see a tree line that's just about right along with the front of the building. There's a little parking lot in front of that, and then there's a more substantial parking lot behind that. And the pavilion is 60 by 36 in dimension. There's a 36-foot separation between the corner of the building and where the first pole would go in. And I have to thank the Verizon for donating significant enough for telephone poles that we're going to use, and they're also going to be doing augering of the holes to place these in and at no cost to us. So we've got the poles, we got that, and the cost for us is going to be in terms of buying the materials. And since we're a 501c3, it's our hope that we can get certain companies to perhaps give us some substantial discounts on the materials. We have a budget that we have in place. I don't think I have to go through the details of that, but the reason why I'm here tonight is to assure you that just as we've been good stewards in King Philip Hall since we first went into that hall back in 1984, 83, and over the years that building has proven to be not only a boon to the Raynham Lions Club, but to many other organizations that have used it for fundraising efforts for their own organizations. And if you haven't been to the building in recent years, I think you'll be really surprised what that building looks like right now, including fully air-conditioned handicap bathroom that we've just completed. And we're putting in additional air conditioning in the kitchen area. And so we've done a lot of things. We've improved the parking lot. We put in a handicap ramp that's been, working very well for us. Seniors are able to come for their Thanksgiving dinner every Sunday before Thanksgiving. But one of the things that we feel strongly about is that during the summer months, it's difficult to get people to go indoors. And we want to be able to be active as an organization 12 months a year. And this pavilion would do wonders for us in terms of being able to run chicken barbecues, clam boils, clam bakes, and those kinds of things, and to make it available to other groups as well. We don't own the pavilion. We don't own King Philip Hall. As I said, we're stewards. That's good. That's why I'm here, looking for your blessing.
I'm certainly going to voice my opinion also, but I just have a couple of questions.
Yep.
How many seats is that going to provide?
We estimate that we're going to end up with about 170 to 180 seats if we use picnic bench type seating, correct. And these would be, in fact, I should tell you that we're going to talk to the town planner about seeing whether or not there's some grant money available for doing this kind of thing, since it would be available to the community. And again, I think this is the kind of project that a town planner might be able to direct us toward in terms of applying for grants. Right now, our job this year is to build the pavilion.
Are you going to put a cement floor on that?
Initially, no. We're going to keep that hard top surface, but because obviously concrete is very expensive, and in any one year, we're limited by the funds that we raise in that given year, because we're under a contractual year, July 1 to June 30th, just like any other enterprise, and we have to spend all our money by June 30th according to Lions International guidelines, and we do that. So we're starting from scratch right now, and we give it all away. There's not a nickel that is made for us. We're all volunteers, and in fact, everyone who's going to be involved in the building are volunteers. We're fortunate to have 4 people who are general contractors in the club, and we should be able to get a lot done with their assistance. So,
Good. So on your motion and second, all in favor? Aye. And we do have a letter here from Park and Recreation accepting it, and as Mr. Gendro said, as long as it doesn't interfere with the APLA.
now I have one question to ask,
Yep.
and that is, in the building permit process, we're not going to be paying for a building permit being a 501c3, I was told by Dennis Machado. We still have to secure a building permit.
Right.
And there are certain parts of the form that seem to require someone from the town to sign off. And I just need to know who I approach. Is it Randy would be the person who would do that?
Yep. you can see
Okay.
Mr. Buckner.
Other than that, I
Take
think
care of
we're all set to begin that process. And by the way, we will have Dick Safe coming in to check the grounds
Okay,
once we know where the posts are going to go.
very good.
All
Thank
right.
you very much for coming in.
All
And
right,
we
thank
look
you.
forward to seeing a nice pavilion out there
Hopefully by next spring.
by next spring.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
Frank.
bye-bye.
That's, I don't know if you have a copy of that. Well, we have a public hearing scheduled, but there doesn't seem to be anybody here.
It's, Harry Powell,
Yeah.
Auto. Want me to check with Deb?
Oh,
Make a
would you
quick
just
second?
kind of like, and just see, because if they're here, then they can do it. If not, we'll have to postpone it until then, 2 more weeks. Yes.
Inquiring.
Looking for the appointments.
It's Sergeant Hastings.
It is Sergeant Hastings. You already pulled that out of there?
No, he's not here.
Not
He
here.
must have forgotten, because we did notify him, so you can either postpone it or proceed without. Do you need him here? No, as long as, no?
He's done business. I have no objection to postponing it if the board wants to, but Mr. Powell's done business in town for a number of years. I have no objection either to proceed.
Do we have anything on that in here, Randall?
You have the application,
You do, yeah.
and here's the hearing notice in the application. The application doesn't say much, I'm afraid, just the, Mr. Powell is.
But
the
it does
appointed-
give you everything that you need.
Well,
It's the Raynham Auto Gallery. And the business address is 38 Broadway in Raynham. And it's from Robert W. Powell. And it's an application for a Class 2 used vehicle license at that address. And everything is in order as far as this is concerned. He's already paid his money. So if
I'd
you
motion to
want to
approve.
accept that,
Yeah, I'd motion to approve.
yeah, based on your knowledge of him, I'll second it.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Given the fact that everybody had an opportunity to come to either approve it or disapprove it, and seeing as there's nobody here, that certainly would work okay. I have a couple of appointments to be made. One would be from the Raynham Police Department, and as the board is aware, Sergeant James Hastings has retired from full-time police service as of July 14th. I would request that Sergeant Hastings be reappointed as a special Raynham police officer.
Motion to appoint.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye. Please accept this letter as a request for consideration for the recently advertised position on the Historical Commission. I have been a resident of Raynham for most of my life and have always been interested in the history of Raynham. And this is from Jeffrey Kelleher, who would like to be appointed. And I'd like this to be sent on to the Historical Commission.
Motion to forward to historical.
Yeah, second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This is from Judith Niles, who's the chairman of the Raynham Cultural Council. Linda McCarthy of Darrington Drive would like to be appointed to the Raynham Cultural Council. Does she need to write a letter, or will this do? Thank you from Judy.
If that's a recommendation.
That's a
then I'd
recommendation.
Motion to appoint.
Okay.
Yep, I'll second that,
Second,
yep.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think that covers the appointments. Okay, Randy, how about your report?
Speaking of vacancies, we've now gotten 2 applications for the Historical Commission, and we're forwarding them on, but so far, no bites on the Finance Committee vacancy. So try to drum up some interest in that. It's a very important committee, obviously, and looking for somebody who's interested in finances. On the Animal Control Officer position, the deadline has passed. We've got a number of applicants, and I think Mrs. Smith and I would like to interview next week and maybe add a 3rd person to that committee. And Mr. Pacheco suggested Town Clerk Marcia Sylvia, who does work on a regular basis with the ACO, and so if she's willing, that would be a good addition, the 3 of us.
Sounds good to me, if she's
Okay.
willing.
And on the Taunton Casino, Serpent has agreed to work with the host community and surrounding towns as a regional convener and to provide objective analysis of the impacts of the casino. As such, Serpent had a meeting last evening to gather input from surrounding communities about their concerns, and they'll be submitting those to the scoping session, which was being held tonight in Taunton. Marilyn Wally attended the meeting on behalf of the town to provide input. We know that the casino legislation really, as it applies to Indian casinos, is not favorable to abutting communities. It's the governor who negotiated the compact, and I guess the legislator approved it today. Eventually, once the casino is up and running, there will be money set aside from revenues for mitigation, but right now, Route 24 is not going to be improved from what I understand, at least not widened. So that's, I think, a problem for Raynham as far as traffic. And there will also be housing and public safety impacts because Raynham does provide mutual aid to Taunton for both police and fire. So we want to make them aware of that. And fire engine pumper, the fire department has ordered its new fire engine for delivery next spring. And I'm looking for input on the date for the special town meeting. The board meets on August 21st. I'm not sure if a Tuesday night would be good. At least we know there would be at least 12 dozen or so people here.
Can we do that here?
Yes, we can do it here.
I
But
motion then to hold a special town meeting at 7 p.m. on August 21st, and we would have our meeting at 6:30 p.m.
sounds good.
I'll second.
The quorum is 50 for that amount of money, so we'll have to drum up some interest.
Can you notify our moderator?
Yes, Dr. John tomorrow. And the only other thing I had was the next Selectmen's meeting, of course, is 2 weeks from tonight, August 7th. Thank you.
Any questions, Randy?
Nope.
Okay. Selectmen's report. Do you have anything, Joseph?
None, Madam Chair, but did you want to vote on the issuance of bonds?
We will be doing that, yes.
Did you want that now?
If you want to do it now, you can do it under, I suggest that, well, the clerk was going
Oh,
to
okay.
make that motion.
Do you have it to read?
No, I have nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
A motion to approve the issuance of bonds based on the recommendation of our treasurer collector.
Yes, I must second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And do you have anything at all?
No, I don't, Madam Chairman.
Okay. We have a memorandum from Marilyn Wally, and this is the South Coast Rail Technical Assistance Program. She's asking the Board of Selectmen to sign the application. She's got a note here that Dan Andre, Chairman of the Planning Board, has agreed to represent Raynham on the South Coast Rail Task Force, and she would like a vote appointing him as our representative. All in favor? Aye. And also a motion for the application.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. A letter from Maryland saying, no, I'm sorry, it's a letter to Maryland from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, thanking her for submitting Raynham's open space and recreation plan to this office for review for compliance with the current open space and recreation plan requirements. I'm pleased to write that the plan is approved. The final approval will allow Raynham to participate in DCS grants rounds through March 2019. Congratulations on a great job. Please call me if you have any questions or concerns. This is from the Finance Committee. At the Finance Committee meeting held on July 16th, the committee elected the following to serve for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2013. Dwayne Wheeler will stay on as chairman, and Gil Aligi Jr. will be vice chairman. information for all. We have the activity report for the fire department. They had 14 calls, all total, 8 ambulance given, 1 received, 1 fire given, and 4 received. As of June 30th, 2011, we had 1,118 incidents, and as of June 30th, 2012, there was 1,256 incidents. Tag days, Bristol Community College, Gloria Sadler, and she wants August 7th.
Motion to approve.
I think is that the only one? Must be
Yes,
the
that's it.
whole thing.
That's it.
That's it. All in favor? That takes care of tag days. The Lions Club has a letter here requesting all of the dates for the rest of 2012 and into 2013. Did we check all of these dates, Randy?
I haven't seen them, I'm sorry.
You haven't seen that? Okay, we can hold that until next meeting if you want, because the first one would be September 9th, so we have plenty of time, okay? I'll just put that back in your basket. Any press time?
I was just wondering if someone maybe could summarize the motion made in regard to the school's request. Is it just to have the special town meeting, and is that what you voted to do?
Well, it's to have the special town meeting to see whether or not the town will go forward to grant the $40,000, in which they can then pursue the grant.
Right. And so
That's the start.
right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the project is a $350,000.
Approximate.
That's approximately the
for both
project
roofs
total.
Right.
Right.
And then the grant that she, as I understood it, would pay for half of that.
55%, I think it was,
Approximately, yeah.
If we're accepted.
if we're accepted
Right.
into it. We may not even be accepted, but you need the $40,000 in order to even take the first step into it. And those would be things we would need anyway, the architectural drawings and things of that nature. So even if they didn't grant it and we didn't get it, that could be put off and done at a later time.
Right. But like I think I heard you say, Selectman Pacheco, if you don't get the grant after the special town meeting, it doesn't mean that you're required to.
No, well, that's what I want to make sure. I mean, we recognize the need for the roofs, but my position was, and I think the board concurs with me, is that we aren't in a position to extend ourselves to that extent at this time. And so under normal circumstances, those would be projects done individually, not collectively. But if there's an opportunity to recoup over 50% of the cost, I think that would be why we would pursue it. But I wanted to make it crystal clear that I had no interest in pursuing them jointly absent SBA funding.
Right. So if we don't get the funding, it can stop right there, and then they can put one on for a town meeting, and then, you know, continue on after that.
The other component was that the timing for the grant money was something that we had to work very closely with, assuming that it comes through, because the completion of the project and the various stages would have to mesh with our town meetings. So we'd have to work closely with them on that. Is that not true?
Yes.
Okay?
I want to make sure I had that right. All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Any emergency business?
Motion to adjourn?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are so adjourned.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.